Yeah, Deseret Peak. Number 200, Deseret Peak. Do you see what they're doing here? Calling it Deseret Peak? Deseret is the name of Brigham Young's kingdom. And so the peak, capstone, top of the mountain. The kingdom of Deseret restored. This was the intention, and Nelson failed. Travis Wayne Goodsell. Another classic Travis Wayne Goodsell video this morning. Brilliant. Hilarious. I miss doing videos on Trump. I miss doing memes and vlogs on the website I used to have before the church had one of their companies buy out my website and thus tank my site. I guess they were upset that I filed a lawsuit against them. Because the very next day, so, the church just doesn't learn. Wickedness never was righteousness. They don't believe in the Book of Mormon. No, they don't. Neither do Mormons. Yet all these Mormons who are upset with me because Nelson punked you. He promised you Jesus and gave you Trump. And you're mad at me? You're having a problem directing your blame. Nelson is the one who fooled you. And I've gone over it. This is a comment reply video, as I've already given Idaho Check an exclusive comment reply email. And so this is a general one for the general audience. It was on my video, Trump to suddenly come to the dedication of number 200 LDS Church, Deseret Peak Temple. And in case you hadn't caught on, I mock wicked people. Plus I mock Trump, and I mock Nelson. and mock Mormons who think the church is true and come and attack me. Makes you wicked. Doesn't make the church true. Makes the church false. You are incapable of defending a wicked church. Thus I mock you, just like Elijah versus the priest of Baal. Did you watch those countdown videos of mine this year? Who's a prophet? Who's a prophet? Who's a revelator? Day and hour. How many times do I have to prove myself, Mormons? Done it those whole years, 7 years, over 8K videos, 8.1K. And yet you still want to deny, do you? That's hardcore. That's hardcore. And now Trump is now Jesus from Nelson's Prophecy at conference. And you're still waiting for Jesus, are you? Oh crap, they're attacking me. See? That's the best they can do. They can't prove the church is true, so they cyber terrorize me. They send me hate comments, death threats. They punish me financially. They deny me goods and services. They steal from me, insult me, call me names, because they can't defend the church. They can't do it. Can't be done. You're false. When are you going to catch on, Mormons? When are you going to catch on? So, Idaho chick, living in her own private Idaho, up in Idaho, as an Idaho chick. And apparently she's still coming around every once in a while, and hasn't come to a video where she gotten so offended that she's gone. Too many people who've come to my channel thought it was great. Oh yeah, he's attacking the church, so awesome. Ah. Oh wait, no, I don't believe that. I'm gone. Happens to everybody so far. It's only just one that's been with me for the longest time, and there are a few others that are still hanging around. There's some others that I haven't heard from in a while, so I don't know if they're okay or dead lying in a gutter somewhere, or if they were offended and left. I don't know. I got a list of names of people I'm wondering, where are you guys? What's up with your lives? I'm all by myself. I want people to talk to, preferably women. All you single ladies, uh-oh, where are you? It's just talking. Isn't that what you want? See, Idaho chick, she's married, has kids. She's living in her own private Idaho. But it's great to hear from her. She tells me bedtime stories whenever she comments. And so, from the scripture you quote about the Lord coming to his temple, that would be Malachi chapter 3. So we'll go to that one first, so that everybody knows what we're talking about. And technically, apparently, we're supposed to include verse 17 of chapter 2. Yeah, I might as well. Yea, have ye wearied the Lord with your words? Yet ye say, wherein have we wearied him? This comes after or right before, will a man rob God? Yet ye have robbed me. But ye say, wherein have we robbed thee? Seeing the pattern of linguistic pattern. When ye say, everyone that doeth evil is good in the sight of the Lord. Right, Mormons? And he delighteth in them, or where is the God of judgment? Behold, I will send my Malachi, and he shall prepare the way before me. And the Lord whom ye seek shall suddenly come to his temple, even the Malachi of the covenant, whom ye delight in. Behold, he will come, saith the Lord of hosts. Suddenly come to his temple. That's what I'm referring to. And so if you're brand new, or if this is your first video and you've only been with me for a little while, like Idaho Chick, she's not been around for too much. And so she missed the beginning of the year when I was doing the countdown to conference videos, mocking Nelson about he's not going to have the temple finished. It's not going to be done. Oh no, how is Jesus going to suddenly come to his temple? And then conference came, and they used the Kirtland temple as the backup. And he revised the Kirtland temple history as I'm getting attacked again. He's not able to hear what I say. He just knows I'm recording and is pissed with the two videos I've already put up today. You know, wah to be you. You're the dumbass who's staying in the church. After it's blatantly obvious it just got exposed as false. And yet they just can't stop being wicked. They can't stop committing crimes. Mormons are hardcore evil to the core. So just hilarious. And so, yeah, Nelson has failed. His whole intention with the Salt Lake City temple revising to make it earthquake proof and renovating the whole thing, to streamline it and do away with the play and have it just a video, and allow for more sessions and more people to flow through the temple to fulfill Isaiah's prophecy. Nope, he failed. It's not for another 2 more years, he said in this October conference. 2 more years, as yep, October conference, he also failed to finish it. You know, he was able to get the plaza finished, but that could have been done quick and easy in just a month. I've been a landscaper. It don't take that long. And yet, yeah, and so the temple's not finished, the palace isn't finished, and nor is his throne. And if you're going, what? I mean, seriously? You've been a Mormon and you don't know any of this. See, for Mormons, we're different than Christians in numerous ways, if not all, other than the name Jesus. And yet Mormons want to say they're Christian. Christians keep saying, no, you're not. The fact that we have temples means we're not Christian, let alone a Heavenly Mother, etc., etc. And so, for Mormons, the second coming involves Adam on Diamond. the priesthood meeting, the super sacred secret priesthood meeting that Mormons are not supposed to know about, where a transfer of government authority is given to Jesus to coup all governments of the world. As he comes to commit mass murder. But it's of the wicked, so it's okay. And so Lucifer's in attendance, as Christians are all upset that Lucifer is Jesus' brother. Oh my God. You cannot argue the church is false with your religion. It's a wrong argument. But nonetheless. And so after Adam-on-Diamond, then he comes suddenly to his temple to be crowned King of Kings, Lord of Lords, the great high priest. And that was supposed to be April conference on Saturday with the big dedication. Oops. Then October, oops. So now it's another 2 more years. But lo and behold, the election. There he is. King Trump. Jesus Trump Christ. To save the church. As Nelson would do that little stunt of in a coming day rather than in the coming days. And Mormons found out a month late. Nelson said Jesus is coming, the second coming, yay! And so the second coming technically is not to the temple. That's number 4. Because number 3 is to the Jews in Jerusalem on the Mount of Olives, where he puts his foot on the Mount of Olives, and a big earthquake shatters him and creates a valley, and Jesus's glow destroys like a nuclear holocaust all of the Islamic heathens that are attacking Israel. And so the surviving Israelites then go through the valley to the other side of the Mount of Olives and see Mormon Jesus on the other side with a body of flesh and bone as tangible as man's, seeing him face to face as one man speaketh with another. And then he shows them the wounds in his ear. Or was it? Yeah, it was this ear. For which he was wounded for our transgressions. If you're gonna do it, you might as well have done it right. Shoot him through the palms. And through the wrists. And through the feet. Hold still, Trump. It's just what Willard Richards told John Taylor to do. Hold still. Let me shoot you a couple more times. Oh my God. In case you didn't know, Joseph was assassinated by an inside plot. Willard Richards and John Taylor were sent by Brigham Young, because they were part of the 12, to make sure the job got done. And when Joseph had a 6-shooter and chased out the mob, that's when John Taylor acted and rushed Hiram with my 3rd great grandfather's single shot. And it went off, shot him up in the jaw, and Hiram fell to the floor. And then Joseph, after hearing the shot, turned into the bedroom again, saw John Taylor standing over Hiram's body, and then boom, 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 the remaining 3 balls. And then John Taylor cowardly ran under the bed. And Joseph came in mourning over his brother's body. Willard Richards then came out of the corner with his 6-shooter that he got, claiming that he was getting sacrament and wine and such, and came from behind, shot Joseph in the back, took his body, dragged it over to the window, dumped it out the window to the well, where the mob then began shooting over and over again. And so then Willard then came back over to Hiram's body, laying on the ground, head back, and shot him right here in the face. So the blood stain on the floor that Spencer W. Kimball covered up after learning it's not Joseph's blood is Hiram's blood from that shot. So there's crime scene investigation. It's real simple and easy to do, but Spencer W. Kimball had to cover it all up and hide it because the truth exposes this charge. Nonetheless. And so, yeah, the 4 second comings of Mormon Jesus. This is important to know and understand in the context, because the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints is not true. They are the enemy. And it was Willard Richards, or Thomas B. Marsh, who was the president of the 12 until 1838, when the Danites did their whole election coup there in Davies County, Missouri. Exact same pattern, exact same ancestors of those who did it this year and in 2020. And yeah, there's a reason. There's a reason. They are the enemy. And Thomas B. Marsh realized that these guys were evil. They called themselves true Mormons. So when you hear Trump talk about true patriots, he's using the Illuminati code. And thus the Danites are from the Illuminati. And so they also called themselves Danites, judges, that they are going to issue judgment on the world. And Thomas B. Marsh was told that they planned to take over the United States and the world in the latter days. And so that was put in his affidavit to the governor, which then wrote the extermination order. But the Danites fooled Thomas B. Marsh into saying that Joseph Smith was in charge of it all. And so the governor believed it was the whole of Mormonism, not just this secret combination of the Danites that were doing it, framing and blaming Joseph, getting him walked up and out of the way so Brigham Young can take over the church. And changed it to Christian, along with the Book of Mormon as Christian now instead of Jewish. And changing the name of the church to add Jesus to it. Okay? And so when the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints talks about Adam-on-Diamond, that's the coup. That they're going to be working with a secret combination to set it all up to hand over the church, or the government, to the church. And so when you get The Way to Perfection by Joseph Fielding Smith Sr., the son of Hiram Smith, who was the only Smith that went with Brigham's crew because of the need to fulfill a certain prophecy that the Danites didn't believe in. But since they cooed Joseph Smith with an infiltration, so likewise Deuteronomy 19 kicks in for the punishment for false accusers. The same punishment that the falsely accused receives is the same punishment for the false accuser. And so thus, a descendant of Hiram would be born and raised up within Brigham's church to restore Joseph Smith and his order. Just as they had done, so too would it be done back to them. And everything's happened. Latter days are over with. This is it. We're waiting for the rest of the stuff to happen. But before I get to that, it was Joseph Fielding Smith Sr. who wrote, which got published in The Way to Perfection by his son, that he believed it was real, that Lucifer is actually going to appear at Adam-on-Diamond for this big priesthood meeting, and that Jesus was going to be given the keys of government. And he doesn't seem to make any sense when you look at it in the big picture of the United States does not acknowledge the church. And under Joseph Fielding Smith, the church was dissolved. He was pretending to be the leader of the church when the church no longer existed on the face of the earth, since the Edmunds-Tucker Act shut it all down as a criminal operation. It was not for polygamy. That was just part of it. It was Section 119 employed with polygamy and some other criminal activities that the United States shut it down for, because Section 119 combined with polygamy becomes sex trafficking, not just prostitution. Mormons don't know this because they're born and raised in the church to believe that this is the way things are. And that's just like an ex or a former Mormon who left the church. She did one video, I think it was last month when I saw her one video that she started, in which she talks about when she was 5 years old, she was sexually abused. And she talks about how at 5 years old, she thought that was normal. She didn't know any better. And that's incredibly sad. But that's the way it is with everything in this church. Mormons do not know and recognize criminal behavior by the church leaders, by Mormons, by their parents. Taking away agency and punishing them for not conforming and complying, and victimizing them of criminal behavior and turning Mormons into criminals as a result. And so yes, this is why you've got all the psychologists here in the valley who were educated at BYU going to prison, getting arrested for crimes. You got the 8 passengers woman who is now in prison because of the way she raised her kids, being taught as a Mormon. And the numerous bishops and primary teachers and scout leaders from this church that are sexually abusing kids, and the domestic violence and the murders and the murder-suicides and it's just intense to make just somebody collapse in exhaustion of what happened to this church of Joseph Smith. How did we get here? But once you understand it's the Danites, now you know why. And so you get your Chad Daybells, your Brian David Mitchells, your Mark Hoffmans, your Ted Bundys, your Warren Jeffs. Even though they're branch-offs, you still see why. Because they were raised that way in the church. This is what the church teaches people to be, criminals. And Mormons don't see it as criminals. They think they're righteous, because they think the church is true and that it's actually Jesus. So they don't realize the Danite plot. And I've tried to warn you and teach you, there are levels of illiteracy in the church. At the base level, you got to believe whatever they tell you. That it's literal history, it's about Jesus, and if you can show your loyalty and illiteracy to that level, then they'll work on advancing you up the ladder. And if you're a woman, don't even bother thinking you're going to get in. This is for men. and so, yeah, once you start getting up to the top, you start realizing, yeah, this isn't obvious. It's not true. But yeah, I like this. These are my kind of people. And so you knowingly lie. You knowingly deceive others. And you knowingly are wanting to commit crimes for this church. And if you can show that you can do that, then you end up becoming a candidate for the apostleship. Otherwise, you end up like a James J. Hamula. They made me an offer, though, and I said no, and I'm gone. And now he's in hiding, because he had to sign a non-disclosure. And so, yeah, instead, Mormon speculation flies around, and everybody claims it's for apostasy, when it wasn't. But we aren't allowed to know because of a non-disclosure agreement, which it was involving a crime, and so he knows better as a lawyer not to fall for criminal non-disclosure agreements. If there's a crime committed, you need to report it, and he didn't bother to do that, so he has no loyalty or honor. So sayonara, James J. Hamula. But you'll also notice that the church loves to frame and blame people for sexual crimes once they go against the church or apostatize. John Dealey was one of those, was pushing to have the fulfillment of Isaiah of the natives blossoming as a rose, requesting that the church help to fulfill that prophecy. No, you're still too low on the ignorant chain, on the illiteracy chain. And so he did not understand. And so, yeah, this is why little Nemo, is a sensitive snowflake now because he got excommunicated. He doesn't understand. And so his fellow excommunicated former Mormons are trying to give him comfort and make him a celebrity of another victim of the church when we all knew it was coming. But he thinks he knows better than the church when he first started out. And he didn't understand. He should have known. You don't exalt yourself above your leaders. You don't criticize them. And yet he thought, well, we should be spending our tithing on this and this and this. No. They're in charge. They're the enemy. They know what they're doing. It's for Jesus. And the coup of the government. And the murdering of the masses. Sunday, bloody Sunday. I'm still waiting to do the Curse of Joseph Smith video. What the hell? Come on, let's get this ball going, because we've got 4 things left to accomplish here. And so, we're finished with the messenger, aren't we? Are we there at the... Okay. So, from the scripture you quote about the Lord coming to his temple, and your title referring to Trump suddenly coming to the dedication of number 200 temple. Yeah, this is me mocking the church. Nelson failed to have the Salt Lake temple finished for 2020, had to use the backup for the Kirtland temple. And then for this conference, you have, again, a failure to finish the Salt Lake temple still with the throne and the palace for Jesus, and so Nelson then announced in a coming day the second coming of Jesus, and the Saturday came, which was Okay, what do we got here? So conference was the 5th and the 6th of October. Okay. So the 6th was the fast of Gedalia. Okay. And so Yom Kippur was the Saturday, the Day of Atonement, the Day of Judgment. And Jesus didn't show for the 12th, which was the Saturday after conference, in a coming day. The judgment of the Lord with his second coming. Didn't happen. No Jesus. I'm the only one who knew about that, but nonetheless. Then I started doing a countdown video for the Feast of Tabernacles, which is an Exodus story from the Bible, the Jews. And then October 7th came, or actually, no, oh yeah, oh right, I almost forgot. 9th of Av was August 13th, and then on 9/11, September 11th, was the Elijah versus the priests of Baal stunt. And so again, I've proven myself to Mormons, and they still harden their hearts and refuse to accept it. And they're still waiting for Jesus, despite Nelson's constant failures. And so, yeah, it ended up being Trump becoming the King of Kings, Lord of Lords over the United States of America, as a thief in the night from Thessalonians, which is also in other Joseph Smith scriptures. And yet Mormons still are clueless. Mormons still can't catch on. Because when you give a prophecy, you have to give the date for when the prophecy is to come to pass. Otherwise, people are just going to say, nah, you're just crying wolf. You're just trying to get clicks and views and likes. Yeah, you're just clickbait. And so now Nelson is teasing Mormons, taunting them, making fun of them, as he's failing miserably, and trying to get Mormons to stay active and keep paying the church. He's a complete and utter failure, and Mormons don't get it. They don't see it. And I've done the videos all these years mocking him. Every single word at conference, every single social media post, every extra video, every extra devotional he gives, everything he says is a lie. He is incapable of telling the truth. And he is a complete and utter failure, as he's purposely botching everything. He can't prophesy, he can't reveal, he can't have visions, he can't translate. And he's getting all of the doctrine wrong on purpose. This Mormonism doctrine is no longer the Mormonism doctrine from before Nelson took over. Everything you thought was the way it was are no longer the way it was, the way it is. All the doctrines have been changed in the manuals to conform to Nelson's created new doctrines. I mean, the guy is worse than Trump, except that he's more in control of his behavior. He's old school, even though Trump is old school. He's, like a little college punk. Away from mommy and daddy and unleashed on the world. And so it's a big difference in evil. And so then failing for Yom Kippur to show Jesus. Then we had the Feast of Tabernacles, which is the Exodus. And there's the 4 final things that need to happen. Everything from the beginning of the latter days to the end of the latter days, which was on the 2nd of October with the lunar or solar eclipse, that ended the latter days. We're now in the millennial time period with the new year of the Jews. And so these last October surprise events into November, this is all part of the end. And so when the 23rd came and went, it was the 24th, that's the 8th day. And so on the 25th, on Friday, the church news came out and said that Nelson is going to dedicate the 200th temple today. And they waited, because they made that decision in the Thursday meeting. And instead of rolling it out Thursday night, they put it out Friday. They were waiting to see if Nelson was going to die, because they are paying attention to my videos. I've got spies. Last Thursday, for example, from the 9 o'clock hour until 1, views tanked. After noon and into 1 especially, whoop, views went back up again to their normal lows. It makes it very clear that those who are watching me were involved in the Prophet's weekly Thursday meeting. And so they were busy during that time period from watching my channel. And see, they think they can hide because they've previously goofed. They revealed that they were watching my channel and thus alerting other followers to my videos as well, which caused a huge spike in views during those times. And so the church has learned to have fake channels to view my channel, my videos, to try to bypass getting me attention, as YouTube also has purposely rigged the algorithms to help the church hide my videos from you. Just hilarious. And so yes, you can see that the terrorist attacks on freezing my camera are back as of yesterday, wasn't it? And so then, because of the 9/11 dream I had at 3 in the morning, I then was told after this to check on a certain thing in the Jewish calendar, but I had shut off the camera or shut off the computer that day, going to bed, and I was going to get to it in the morning. Didn't write it down. And so I start off my day as normal and forgot about it, and then after posting the video, I then remembered, oh yeah, I was going to check the calendar on this particular thing. So checked the calendar and went, oh yeah, let's check this. Oh, the Jews were in Judah, and so they believed the house of northern Israel to be wicked. And so even though it's recorded in the Bible, 1 Kings chapter 12, the Jews do not celebrate it on their calendar. So I didn't realize. And so I learned why I should check out the Jewish calendar. Because we have got the Danite Exodus this Saturday from Mount Ephraim. It's just amazing how accurate the prophecies of the Jews are, of the Book of Mormon, of Joseph Smith. I mean, seriously, Mormons, you want to deny what is blatantly being fulfilled right in front of your face by you? Dear God, talk about your hardened of hearts, ripe for destruction. This is Mormonism for you. And so, yes, this is what I'm doing right now, is trying to help educate you as much as I can, trying to be as simple as I can with the weakness of associative memory in the context of not having an ordered system, not getting to the point, thus the video this morning. Because I'm just a human being talking to you guys, trying to get you to understand of the importance of what is going on, and knowing that there's no way for you to cram the information to figure it out in advance, and that with the accomplishments I've been able to do, that should be sufficient for anybody to go, wow, yeah, he definitely has those gifts of prophet, seer, revelator, and translator, and has the keys of Moses from what he accomplished in 2020 and right now. But again, we have the 4 things left. And this is why I'm hoping for as much time as possible before Saturday. Because if it is going to happen during the week or not at all, and this is just going to be a teaching opportunity, it's going to piss me off. Because things need to happen. And I've told you I've already gotten it all planned out. It's not in the associative memory. That's more formal. It's an outline of things, but still, it's so that I have it all there for me, so that when it happens, I'm ready to go. And so I'm just waiting for the 2 other items on the list of 4 left to be done. And so the fall is number 1. 1 Nephi chapter 22 verse 14. There's numerous scriptures about the fall of the great abominable church, but this is a main one for you to understand. So let's go to it. Verse 14, because it talks about in 13 that Mormons are going to war against themselves, and the sword of their own hands shall fall upon their own heads, and they shall be drunken with their own blood. And all who fight against Zion shall be destroyed, but that's Zion, not the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. And that great whore, conjunction junction, what's your function? Thus Zion is not the great and abominable church. Mormons don't want to believe it. And so what is the great and abominable church? Is it just Catholics, like Bruce R. McConkie said? Obviously not. Mormons are not getting it. Who have perverted the right ways of the Lord. You know, Joseph Smith started the church. Catholics were long before Joseph Smith. It's Brigham Young who came after and perverted the right ways of the Lord. Yea, that great and abominable church shall tumble to the dust, and great shall be the fall thereof. Okay? The fall has to happen first. Then after the fall, we need to go to Exodus chapter 12, because this is before an Exodus. And 29 to 36. The fall happens. And the next stage of prophecy is, and it came to pass that at midnight, remember, as a thief in the night, the Lord smote all the firstborn in the land of Egypt, from the firstborn of Pharaoh that sat on his throne, unto the firstborn of the captive that was in the dungeon, and all the firstborn of cattle. You need to understand the concept of the Jews of birthright and blessing. Genesis author makes this very clear, as the birthright and blessing is constantly usurped by the younger brother. And so in this particular instance in Exodus, the author here is making it clear that this destroys the dynasty of Egypt. Egypt is done. You need to know the culture of the Egyptians in this. This is a prophecy. This isn't literal history. Remember? And so for the Egyptians, a pharaoh had to secure the right to the throne with his sister to maintain the blood of the Canaanites. Joseph was right in Abraham chapter 1. You should have trusted him. And in so doing, their child is the birthright blessing son who is to be the heir to the throne, the prince of Egypt. If the Pharaoh has no sons to take over the throne, and there is no other relative of the family that can save the dynasty ends, and a new dynasty begins. There are exceptions, as a female would step in to save the dynasty. In the Old Kingdom and the 18th dynasty, Cleopatra are a few of the women who have stepped forward to save the particular dynasty from collapsing and requiring a new dynasty to take over. And so what the author is saying here, that in the future, you're going to have a collapse of the order. They had a theocracy. Pharaoh was the King of Kings, the Lord of Lords, the great high priest of the priesthood of Ammon. Emmanuel, sun god at noonday. Especially during the 18th dynasty, David Moses's. But we're not going to get into that. I've done those videos. That's fluff stuff. But to help you understand that it's all true as Jewish. Learning of the Jews, language of the Egyptians. And so this is both government and religion combined into one in the prophecy. America does not have a theocracy. Church and state are supposed to be separated. Supposed to be. They're going to unite them under Trump. If you've never read Project 2025. Because all evangelicals are drooling now that they're getting Jesus' kingdom as Trump is Cyrus. It's just that the Church of Jesus Christ is non-Trinitarian, so Jesus is the embodiment of Jesus. Despite the claims that he was in the Roman period when he was born, Nelson has yet to explain this. Because it's not reincarnation. That's not our doctrine. And thus, the picture memes that I did for you today. Because this is what Nelson pulled by claiming Trump is Jesus, the fulfillment, because he failed to demonstrate his coming by failing to finish the temple for him. He had resorted to making Trump Jesus. And so, yeah, it's just utterly humiliatingly embarrassing for Nelson. I don't feel sorry for him one bit. Okay, and so the government has to fall and the religion has to fall, because the Exodus is to get us to Zion while the rest of the nation goes into civil war and thus collapses the world into World War III. This is where Albert Pike comes in to support the Danites and what their plot is. This is an Illuminati plot. You must know Project 47 is a KK, or it's an Illuminati coding. Okay, so you then have, it's getting warmer today. Interesting. With this transfer is what is going on next after the fall. So verse 29 and 30 is the fall that I read to you from 1 Nephi chapter 22. And so Pharaoh then calls for Moses and Aaron, supposed to be by night, and said, "Rise up, get you forth from among my people, both ye and the children of Israel," which are the Mormons, "and go and serve the Lord as ye have said. Let my people go." This is what's supposed to happen. The transfer of authority that Joseph Fielding Smith said was supposed to happen at Adam-on-Diamond. That which you falsely accuse becomes the punishment that you are supposed to receive. And so as the church has made it so that Trump is being given authority, are you giving all your money of the church to Trump? Is that what I'm understanding, Nelson? The multi-trillions of dollars you've been hoarding, you're giving it all to Trump, are you? And you're still in denial of the curse of Joseph Smith, are you? And so, this is to be given to the man like Moses. The Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints is to give it to me. You can take the Mormons and go, because they've been saying no this whole time. They will not release you from bondage. And so along with permission to go, take your flocks and your herds, as ye have said, and be gone. The Egyptians were urgent upon the Mormons, thus the Danites, who will not be going to Zion, that they might send them out of the land of Utah in haste, for they said, "We be all dead men." And the people took their dough, and it's the unleavened part that it's doesn't rise. It's the end of, and it's yucky. Verse 35, "And the children of Israel, Mormons, according to the word of me, borrowed of the Egyptians jewels of silver and jewels of gold and raiment." And borrow, not translated correctly. I see somebody disapproved of Avraham Gileadi and put OR in place of the Hebrew that Avraham Gileadi put, and so they put in asked, And then for Lent, in verse 36, they put let them have as OR. And we were supposed to get rid of all the ORs and IEs. And so the Lord gave the people favor in the sight of the Egyptians, so that they gave them such things as they required, and they spoiled the Egyptians. The spoils of war. This is what's supposed to happen. The church is not only supposed to let you go, the church is also going to say, here, take all the money that we've been hoarding. Not just in the bank accounts, not just in the LLC corporations, but also the offshore bank accounts. Here's it all. We've liquidated our assets, all that. That's what they're supposed to do, according to prophecy, right here. And so then the Exodus is next. And I've already got the Exodus planned. This is the Exodus. The building of Zion and the administration of it and all that. That's what I'd been doing ever since I got the Hinckley dream in 2008, while I was Joseph of Egypt having the dream. Room number 88. One was 77. Did that one yesterday, didn't I? Again for you, because there was another one for yesterday. Needed to get that video out. Okay. And so the Exodus, to show you that it is me, section 103, 15 to 18. Behold, I say unto you, the redemption of Zion must needs come by power. Therefore I will raise up, that's direct plagiarism from Deuteronomy 18:15 of the man like Moses, whom Joseph Smith says in the second vision, verse 40, he's your Christ. Unto Mormons, a Mormon man, one of you. Brigham Young insurrected Joseph Smith from within as a secret combination, and so through Brigham Young's church will be a child born among them who will be the Christ to free Mormons from Brigham Young's church's bondage. Deuteronomy 19, the punishment for false accusers. Curse of Joseph Smith too. Who shall lead Mormons like as Moses, the Christ, led the children of Israel. For Mormons are the children of Israel. Those were prophecies about you. Seed of Abraham, you must needs be led out of bondage of the great and abominable church by power and with a stretched out arm. Even as your fathers were led at first, even so shall the redemption of Zion be. So the quicker we can get the Exodus started with the transfer, it will all be organized as it is planned. But these first two things are out of my control. There's nothing I can do to make it go faster, to make it happen. Nothing. I'm completely helpless. I am number 3 and 4. They're all planned, ready to go. I have to wait for other people to do their part. And it's pissing me off. As if you've been following me when I did the countdown and into the Judah Exodus of Tabernacles, you'll understand my frustration as we're now getting into frustration period time for me here too. It would be great to have everything work out perfectly and smoothly to make this happen. But we're dealing with humans, wicked humans. And don't want to cooperate. And so, yeah, we're waiting. And if this is just a teaching moment, oh dear God, it's going to just frustrate me to no end, because then there's nothing for me. I'm just sitting on this. I'll have to put it back in a box, and then all of a sudden it'll happen. Oh God, because I'm in the zone right now, and the longer we go, the less of a zone I get in, and it's just going to piss me off, because I've got things to do if it's not going to happen. I've got a whole to-do list of things to do if they're not going to get it done anytime soon. I want it done. I want it over with. I want to go to the next step. It's pissing me off that other people aren't doing their jobs. And I can understand. I'm very good at what I do, and I have to understand that other people are not like that. When I had my kids and they were growing up as little toddlers, I understood, I can't expect them to do everything without me being there to teach them. I need to be there to teach them. So I understand that for toddlers. But I expect adults not to be like toddlers. And yet I've worked for the church. I know. It's just, oh my God. This church teaches us about getting intelligence and getting inspired. And what the hell is going on here? And then they get mad at you. We're righteous. Well, you're not proving it to me. Prove it. Dear God. Okay, and so then we get to Zion. This is the final thing. We made it. Now we got to build it. And so section 85, verse 7, the temple gets set in order. The temple becomes our home, not just my home. You become joint heirs with me. We all get to live in the temple. The temple rituals are now fulfilled with Zion. And so no outward performances are necessary anymore. You now are the kings and queens, high priests and high priestesses over your family. Thus, a lot is assigned to you as an inheritance for your family. And don't even think about having your family being more privileged to take over everybody else and destroy Zion. Because that'll be the swift kick out of Zion, and we'll replace you with somebody else who will be righteous, won't take away agency and want to rule over other people. There will be no monetary system of economy, so no black market economy, no underground economy, no alternative economies on the side, thus no gambling. You are doing a monetary system of economy with gambling, even if it's not for money, even if it's a barter or trade system. None of that is allowed. We have the bishop's storehouses. All you have to do is help supply the bishop's storehouses, and you get whatever you need and want for making your life happy, giving your life meaning, and contributing to the storehouse so that everybody can equally prosper. And the more people we get, the more prosperous we'll become, because we'll have a more diverse amount in the storehouses. So there's no need for destroying Zion. And this pisses off wicked people. They want to have Zion destroyed. They want a monetary system of economy. They want to rule over other people and destroy other people's lives to get ahead at work or hit stores and stuff. And it's just sick and wrong. You guys know that that's not the way to run this government, and yet that's the way it's being done. And it's about to fall. Technically has. It's spiritually fallen. We're just waiting for the physical fall. That's why they're pumping up the stock market. It's just going out of control. It was over 1,000 on Friday. Yeah. Or it was actually after election on Wednesday. And then they kept pumping it up to the end of the week. But yeah, it's going to continue to go up. They're purposely investing in Trump to bribe him because they want to be prosperous under Trump. But Trump is a failure in business. We all know it. And yet, everything he touches dies. It's utterly destroyed and a complete and utter failure. And he has no intention of being a businessman. It's all about getting favors that are owed by other people to him. Other people bribing him, paying him, so that they owe him. That's what it's all about. And you don't bother to learn about him, you just go with the flow. Not bothering to read his books, not bothering to believe what he tells you at rallies, if you even bother to listen to him. Not bother to understand that you can't take a Sharpie and change the course of a hurricane. That by gutting NOAA, by gutting the FCC and the FDA and other federal agencies is not going to be good for America. But consequences will follow. Consequences will follow. And so the final one for the establishment of Zion is section 45. 66 to 71. So it will be in New Jerusalem, land of peace, city of refuge, place of safety for Mormons. No laymen and lemuels. Glory of God shall be there, and terror of the Lord shall also be there, insomuch that the wicked will not come unto it. And it shall be called Zion. Zion in New Jerusalem, 19 July 1840, the mountain cities. Your inheritance will be a lot that can be plugged in and plugged out, remodeled and put back in. It's awesome. Never before has any other creation been invented. It is just incredible, the mind visions for Zion that I have. And the glory, let's see, come to pass among the wicked, that every man that will not take his sword against his neighbor must needs flee unto Zion for safety. So that could be what the Book of Mormon is talking about, with Mormons turning on each other. If they don't go to Zion, they will turn on each other. But we'll have to wait and see. It's the wicked who fulfill it. Because nobody ever expected that Trump would be Jesus. Just like nobody ever expects the Spanish Inquisition. And so this is the gathering of Moses. There shall be gathered unto it out of every nation under heaven, and it shall be the only people that shall not be at war one with another. And so those who are ex-foes are welcome to come. They have to follow the rules, no monetary system of economy. You have to be able to provide to the storehouses so that you can get whatever you need and want. And you just got to be good. Love your neighbor. That's it. Not commit adultery of your neighbor. That's not love. Don't change the definition. And so, yeah, the wickedness won't tolerate it. There's no monetary system of economy, and they think that there has to be, and that's why they're fighting. It becomes a survival of the fittest when you have a monetary system of economy. You automatically create class distinctions between the rich and the poor. And our nation is trying to have a middle class. And they use that in their political arguments for elections. Oh, the middle class needs to have a voice. You know, and they say screw the poor because they're too small of a percentage of the voting populace. So that's why they love to claim to speak to the middle class when they're getting bribed by the 1% of the upper class. It's just sick and wrong. And so yeah, the world, this nation will descend into war. Far worse than Trump's first 4 years, because people were telling him no in the beginning, even though he was still implementing many of the stuff in secret, and it took a couple years before the press found out that that's what he was doing. But yeah, so that's what's going on here. And so no, I don't expect Trump to go to the dedication. That's just mocking Nelson for his failures. So yeah, I sent her a special exclusive comment to answer that one for her. And so yeah, I went over the prophecies about the 4 things that are left. So, okay, there we go, we're done. The final 4 for Zion. And go over my email to her, see if there's anything else I can pull out that would apply. Thank you, Nelson, for the brilliant memes. Thank you for the music, the songs I'm singing. Da, 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 thank you all. Da, da, da. Maybe. We'll see. Haven't heard ABBA in a long time. I actually liked the ABBA movie with Pierce Brosnan and others doing a musical. You know, there were people that were scared. But it was good, it was okay. So, yeah. But yeah, it's strange that Mormons refuse to get it, even though I've been repeatedly showing you the pictures from the document. You know, when I exposed the coup, that's when the church had had enough of me. Oh, they were pissed. Because I sued them in 2020, and that pissed them off. As I knew of the coming of the coup, and yet I got confirmation of the coup in 2021 when I found the way to perfection after that conference in October. And they just went berserk on me. I mean, dear God. You know, they wanted me to suffer. And that's how I ended up here after all this time. And they still were upset that I got out and that I got into this place, as they fired the 2 girls that failed to keep me locked up and sicked my brother on me as I first moved in here, right for my birthday, the bastard. And so yeah, the church threatened him. This is what the church does. They groom you from birth to be a criminal, to support the church and everything they ask you to do. And so when they ask you to hurt people and murder people and commit crimes against other people, you better damn well do it or they will ruin your life. And so they threatened my brother. You get your brother financially in trouble with a lawsuit and silence him on YouTube, or you're fired. They were going to do to him as they did to Avraham Gileadi for simply pointing out the Jewish Christ, even though he merged it with Jesus. Just having the Jewish Christ was unacceptable to the prophets, and he was excommunicated and fired. And he had to come crawling back on his hands and knees, promising never to bring up the Jewish Christ ever again, even though he claims that he's still the expert on Isaiah translation. He just can't talk about it. It's now got to be Jesus, and only Jesus. And so my brother was threatened by the church. You are going to lose your job here at the church office building if you do not destroy your brother. And they should have known better. God can't touch me. Oh God. So they don't care. They destroy people's lives to get what they want. And so yeah, he had to pay $2,000 of his own money to secure a lawyer to then threaten me. And apparently the lawyer didn't catch on. So I had to remind the lawyer in the response. So you're saying that my brother came to you, paid you $2,000 to silence me on YouTube and financially ruin me, or he's going to get fired by the church? Yeah, haven't heard from him since. No duh. And they should have. As lawyers, they're obligated to their client. Their client is saying, help me. And they didn't even do that. They didn't go back to the church and say, hey, our client said you threatened him. They were paid $2,000, non-refundable. My brother, being the false accuser, got caught up in the trap that he had set for me, being threatened by the church to do it. So he was the one who was financially hurt. Law of Purim. It's a Jewish thing. Well, easy breezy. That's why this church must fall, to save Mormons. And the prophets are just too stubborn. They will not let you go. They do not want you to have agency. They do not want you to prosper. You are their slaves. You must pay them. You are committing crimes for them. And they don't care. They do not love you. There is no Jesus. It's all a fraud. And you fell for it. And yet, despite this, the Jews have been right. The Book of Mormon has been right. Joseph Smith has been right. Here I am. You can know me by my fruits. How much more do I have to do before you finally believe? And you've witnessed the attacks that have again resumed. The freezing of the camera. They want me gone. They want me out of the way. And it's pissing them off that they have failed. And I get to mock them. It's so much fun. Okay, we're done. Oh, yeah, Deseret Peak. Number 200, Deseret Peak. Do you see what they're doing here? Calling it Deseret Peak? Deseret is the name of Brigham Young's kingdom. And so the peak, capstone, top of the mountain. The kingdom of Deseret restored. This was the intention, and Nelson failed. That's what we're going to do for the thumbnail picture. Yeah, that's what we'll do.